Good afternoon. Earlier today, Hoover police detectives obtained warrants for the arrest of Carlee Russell through the Hoover Municipal Court for her actions related to faking her kidnapping and subsequently making false statements to detectives as they investigated this case.
Finally, Carlee Russell, the 25-year-old young lady who pulled the fake kidnapping stunt, has been charged with 2 misdemeanors in connection with the hoax that she pulled concerning her fake kidnapping. An arrest warrant was issued for her arrest just over 24 hours ago, and she surrendered herself to the authorities, accompanied by her attorney at the Hoover City Jail, to face 2 misdemeanor charges. These charges are falsely reporting to law enforcement authorities and falsely reporting an incident. Before I get into the details and my 2 cents on this issue, let's go and watch the footage of the press conference that the Hoover PD pulled out about her arrest and the charges being leveled against her. Then I'll come back and give you my view.
Good afternoon. Earlier today, Hoover police detectives obtained warrants for the arrest of Carlee Russell through the Hoover Municipal Court for her actions related to faking her kidnapping and subsequently making false statements to detectives as they investigated this case. Her decisions that night created panic and alarm for the citizens of our city and even across the nation as the concern grew that a kidnapper was on the loose using a small child as bait. Numerous law enforcement agencies, both local and federal, began working tirelessly not only to bring Carlee home to her family, but locate a kidnapper that we know now never existed. Many private citizens volunteered their time and energy into looking for a potential kidnapping victim that we know now was never in any danger. This story opened wounds for families whose loved ones really were victims of kidnappings, some of which even helped organize searches in hopes they could find Carlee's alive so her family would not experience the pain and suffering that they felt when their loved ones never returned home. As we know, actions can have consequences, and that's why we're here today. This afternoon, Carlee Russell, with the assistance of her attorney, turned herself into the Hoover City Jail, where she was arrested for the following charges: false reporting to law enforcement authorities, Class A misdemeanor, $1,000 bond; falsely reporting an incident, a Class A misdemeanor with a $1,000 bond. Each of these charges carry up to a year in jail and potential fine of $6,000 upon conviction. Ms. Russell was released from jail after posting bond. We initially presented this case to District Attorney Lanice Washington, who agreed to handle prosecution through district court. After consulting with the Circuit Court of Jefferson County, Bessemer Division, the case was referred back to municipal court for charging because the only applicable charges were misdemeanors. Judging from the amount of phone calls and emails that we've received from people all over the country, I know many are shocked and appalled that Ms. Russell is only being charged with 2 misdemeanors, despite all the panic and disruption her actions caused. Let me assure you, I too share the same frustration, but existing laws only allow the charges that were filed to be filed. I can tell you that I will be contacting our state legislatures on behalf of law enforcement in Montgomery and asking them to look at this law applied to these facts and urge them to add an enhancement to current legislation when somebody falsely reports kidnapping or another violent crime. Because of the attention this case has garnered, we've requested Attorney General Steve Marshall's office adopt this case, and they've agreed to do so. The Hoover Police Department wants to thank everyone that assisted us from the beginning and continues to assist us in this case as we work its way through the criminal justice system. Joining me at the podium today is State of Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall.
Thank you, Chief. Let me begin by commending Hoover Police Department Chief Durgis for his leadership in this investigation. Obviously, this captured many's attention as a result of not only the allegations themselves, but also the concern about a possible victim and being able to return her home. The work that was done by the Hoover Police Department was monumental in its lift, and the results of that work you are seeing come to fruition today with the charges that have been levied. I also want to commend the many other men and women of both state and federal law enforcement for their work collaboratively with the Hoover Police Department in assisting in this investigation. Chief, appreciate the opportunity to be able to partner with you in this prosecution. We will dedicate a team to be able to help the city of Hoover in handling these 2 individual charges and look forward to bringing this case to fruition. One thing I would add is that we don't see this as a victimless crime. There are significant hours spent, resources expended as a result of this investigation. And not only that, but the many men and women who are civilians that wore those yellow vests on a hot afternoon and evening looking for someone they thought was abducted, trying to be of assistance. We intend to fully prosecute this case and look forward to working with the Hoover Police Department moving forward. We also would tell you that we will continue to monitor this investigation to determine whether or not there are any additional charges that need to be brought, and we'll evaluate those as the facts are presented.
These two misdemeanor charges leveled against Carlee Nicole Russell carries a bond of $1,000 each and are punishable by up to a year in jail and a $6,000 fine if convicted. From this point, Carlee Russell was released from jail after she posted bond. So there's actually a footage of Carlee Russell leaving the Hoover PD with her parents as well after she had posted bail, and her mugshot is going around. I'll come to the mugshot actually and what people are saying about it. You are seeing the mugshots on your screens right now, and I'll put in my 2 cents about it and people's reactions. But let's first go to the tidbits on the press conference as far as what the chief of the Hoover PD, Dezis, actually said. I quote, "Her decisions that night created panic and alarm for the citizens of our city and even across the nation as concern grew that a kidnapper was on the loose using a small child as bait. The story opened wounds for families whose loved ones really were victims of kidnappings, some of which even helped organize searches." Quote closed. So I wasn't really surprised actually when the Alabama Attorney General, Steve Marshall, came in also and said that, I quote, "We intend to fully prosecute this case." And he went on to even add that his office will monitor the investigation for potential further charges. And I think that it's in the right direction because I've done a video on this. It's in my playlist. You can look it up about the possible charges that were going to be leveled against Carlee Russell if she was to be charged. Or I spoke about 2 possible charges. One of them is in here per what the Hoover PD has put out, and that is falsely reporting to the security agencies. The other would have been the charge for the things that she allegedly stole from her employer. I don't yet know if that will be dependent on the employer deciding to press charges or not. But like the Attorney General said, there could be more charges as the case progresses. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes up. And if it has to do, or if it's dependent on whether the employer would have to initiate the charge, I wouldn't also be surprised if the employer decides to actually initiate the charge out of anger against Carlee Russell and the fact that she fooled that employer and her colleague workers, as well as the people of Hoover, Alabama, and the entire country, and actually the entire world, to believing and expending time and effort and resources that she was kidnapped and searching for her. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, the Attorney General, Marshall, actually went on to say that although Carlee Nicole Russell wasn't kidnapped, they don't see this as a victimless crime, pointing to the significant hours spent and resources expended. And it's just like I was saying, it is not a victimless crime. Now, Carlee Russell is actually the culprit, technically, and the people of Alabama, the general public, the country as a whole, they are the victims in one form or the other, where Carlee has put out this hoax about a fake kidnapping and has ended up traumatizing people who have had various past encounters with kidnappings, some of whom have lost family members, some of whom actually expended resources. The state itself expended some resources and time. Carlee Russell has spread trauma, fear, and panic to people that there's a kidnapper out there. So it is not a victimless crime. She is technically the culprit, and the people in various contexts are now the victims. But then, Carlee Russell's attorney, Emory Anthony, indicated that all that they could do now is wait for the court date and see how they go from there. And when he was asked about how Carlee Russell is handling the charges. He indicated that she is doing like anybody else charged with something war, and that she had realized that although it's two misdemeanors, it's still a serious offense, and that she understands that. Well, this is where the issue of her mugshot comes in. When you look at her mugshot, there are people who actually think that Carlee Russell is too cheerful and too smiley. Smiley, yes. In her mugshot, there are people who think that the remorse should have shown her not being so smiley in her mugshot, but that she should have actually shown some sort of facial remorseful posture in her mugshot. People think she isn't repentant and she's just going through it thinking that she'll come out of the other side unscathed. For me, I don't have that opinion actually. Despite my personal views about the fact that Carlee Russell needs to face the law, I don't think her mugshot is something I should use to judge her. And I don't agree with the people who think that her mugshot is over the top. I'm sure the Hoover PD and the other authorities associated with leveling the charges against her, they have a standard mugshot that needs to be satisfied for such cases, or for any cases for that matter. So if this mugshot doesn't cut it, they would have actually prompted that, no, let's do this again. So I don't subscribe to all those reactions against how her mugshot looks. But, well, I agree with those who said that she still looks very beautiful in her mugshot. I do, but I'm sure that when the case starts in court, all that smile is going to go away. I even think that in her privacy, she's quite going through a lot actually, quite a lot, and she wouldn't want to show it on the outside because it would actually be playing into the hands of people who are already, per her mom's words, bullying her and her family on the internet. Now, her attorney, Emory Anthony, actually went on to say that there was no kidnapping and that his client did not see a baby, and that was the confession that Carlee had put out through him. But then, now that she has been charged, it means that everything is official now. And in that regard, we are waiting to get to court, just like her attorney said, and myself, I'm also waiting for them to go to court. And when they go to court, I'm going to pursue this case, bring you the updates as and when they are due. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think that Carlee Russell is going to face more charges when they go to court? If it's up to her employer to level charges on theft of the things that she allegedly stole from her workplace before being fired, do you think her employer would actually take steps to issue those charges against her or level those charges against her based on the fact that she fooled everybody, including them, into thinking that she was kidnapped and they were thrown into a state of panic and fear? Let me know what you think in the comment section. But as for Carlee Russell, I think that the world is going to start getting more interesting for her, as if it already isn't. This is the biggest lie in 2023 as far as I have checked. And I don't know if this case is just going to end with her being prosecuted or other things are going to come out of the closet. I think other things are going to come out of the closet. There's still a big question mark on her parents and the role they played, if any, in this case. And there's still other questions like, where was Carlee? Who was she with? What was she doing in those 2 missing days? All these and other questions are still lingering, yet to be answered or yet for answers to be found for them. So I think there are interesting days ahead for all of us, including Carlee Russell and her loved ones especially. And I think that we should brace ourselves. It's going to be a bumpy ride for Carlee Russell, most probably, and it's also going to probably be a shocking one for all of us, because I'm sure some crazy stuff are going to come out that might even end up being crazier than the ones we've heard about this case so far. Until then, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. Hit the notification button, share our videos, and please push the channel. Thank you so much, and do me a favor, please stay safe out there and keep an eye out. We'll catch you next time.